When Insomniac Games released the first Spider-Man back in 2018, they pulled off the impossible. They delivered not just the greatest superhero game of all time, but one of the most mature, focused, and emotionally devastating stories ever told in a comic book adaptation. Peter Parker's story was a masterclass in pacing. It understood the weight of the mask, personal sacrifice, and the human tragedy behind the superhero. We formed a genuine bond with that Peter, with Otto Octavius, with Aunt May, then came Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Expectations were through the roof. The game is technically flawless, the web wings make traversal an absolute blast, and the open world is vibrant. But as the credits roll, the feeling left in the pit of your stomach isn't triumph. It's emptiness. What happened to Insomniac's storytelling? Why did the sequel, which had everything it needed to be the Empire Strikes Back of Spider-Man games, trip over so many questionable choices? Today we're going to break down step by step how and why the story of Spider-Man 2 failed to match the brilliance of its predecessor, and how an excessive focus on certain characters completely broke the franchise's backbone. To understand the collapse of Spider-Man 2, we need to look at the cardinal rule of any great hero story: focus. In the 2018 game, the absolute protagonist is Peter Parker. Even when we control Mary Jane or Miles during specific moments, the moral compass, the dramatic conflict, and the consequences of every single action belong to Peter. Dr. Octopus's arc works brilliantly because he is the tragic mirror of Peter himself, a brilliant man consumed by his own obsession and pain. In Spider-Man 2, Insomniac tried to juggle the whole world and ended up dropping everything. Introducing two playable protagonists with equal narrative weight, Peter and Miles, completely shatters the dramatic pacing. Think about it. We have the symbiote storyline, which should be the darkest, most psychological, and most isolated journey of Peter Parker's life. It's the classic tale of fighting your own demons, losing control, and how power corrupts. But what does the game do? Right in the middle of this tense psychological spiral where Peter is corrupting himself and pushing away the people he loves, the game abruptly cuts to Miles handling college issues, saving his neighborhood, or dealing with subplots completely disconnected from the main symbiote infection. That constant switching kills the immersion. Instead of letting us sink into Peter's tragedy, we're forced to hit pause on the drama to put out side fires. Miles Morales is a fantastic character, but putting him on equal footing in a story that demanded urgency and total focus on Peter completely diluted the emotional impact of both. And if the handling of Miles already diluted the focus, what they did with Mary Jane enters the territory of the indefensible. Let's be honest, in the first game, MJ's missions divided opinions. A lot of people found it annoying to sneak around dodging grunts. But criticizing gameplay mechanics is one thing. Altering the very core of a character to fit a corporate checklist is entirely another. In the first game, MJ was a brilliant yet vulnerable investigator. She infiltrated criminal hideouts using cunning, intelligence, and stealth because she's a civilian journalist. If an armed thug spotted her, it was game over. And that brought a delicious sense of realism. Spider-Man had to rush to save her because she was human, fragile, and in actual danger. In Spider-Man 2, MJ turned into an undercover Black Ops secret agent. She walks right into military encampments packed with ruthless Craven Corp mercenaries and starts dishing out electric sweeps, leg sweeps, and taser shots that knock out soldiers with assault rifles in seconds. She takes down grunts from atop shipping containers like she's Black Widow. It completely shatters the suspension of disbelief and destroys the game's dramatic tone. When everyone on screen is an indestructible action hero, danger ceases to exist. Peter Parker is diminished in his own franchise, so MJ can have her forced empowerment moments. The result? The drama of their relationship turns into an awkward rom-com where Peter's vulnerability, fighting an alien parasite draining his sanity, is treated almost like a nuisance to MJ's indomitable independence. But the final blow to Spider-Man 2's narrative happened in the writer's room with the villains. Let's look at Venom. On paper, Venom is one of the most terrifying and iconic monsters in comics. He holds a personal grudge, he knows Peter, and he's visceral. But what Insomniac delivered was a reheated cliche of a 90s alien invasion movie. The good old plan of covering the entire city in black goo to take over the world. Where is the psychological nuance? Harry Osborn deserved a vastly deeper development. A childhood friendship corrupted by illness and bottled up hatred should have been the beating heart of the game. Instead, the game rushes so fast to introduce Craven, who sure is a great hunter, but gets unceremoniously tossed aside right in the middle of the story that Venom has to be crammed into the third act. The transition from a kind, dying Harry to a cartoonish supervillain mastermind hell-bent on world domination happens so fast you don't even have time to process the grief. In the first game, when Peter has to beat the living daylights out of Dr. Octopus knowing who he was and what he meant to him, you cry right along with the character. The music, the weight of the punches, the voice acting, everything bled pure emotion. By the end of Spider-Man 2, when Peter has to defeat Venom Harry, the emotional impact is buried underneath a generic Michael Bay-style explosive action sequence. It's loud, it looks pretty, but it's empty. To sum it all up, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 isn't a bad game. It's a victim of its own bloated scope. Insomniac wanted to please committees, check boxes, and meet corporate metrics of massive proportions, forgetting the #1 lesson the first game taught with such mastery: less is more. The first game understood that Spider-Man shines brightest when the story is intimate, focused on his mistakes, his guilt, and his love for the city. When you scatter that focus among multiple, indestructible protagonists and rushed villains, you gain visual spectacle, but you lose your soul. Spider-Man 2 is a fun amusement park ride for 10 hours, but its story is a bitter reminder that size and budget don't replace a good script. The 2018 classic remains the true masterpiece of the web-slinger in gaming. And now I want to know your opinion. Do you think Spider-Man 2's story really dropped the ball, or are these criticisms overblown? Drop a comment down below, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next breakdown.